This is a tier list of all the Valorant agents after update 3.05 for Act 2, episode something. I don't honestly remember. Okay, so the big changes in this update were that Breach's Aftershock can now destroy Killjoy's lockdown, which is a big deal. Also, Raze's Boombot got nerfed, but I don't think that's going to change her much. And then Sova's ult can destroy a couple more things, and Brimstone's ult helps more, but he's still kind of bad. Okay, we're going to start out with the obvious. Brimstone, D tier. Yoru, C tier. Brimstone is horrible, and Yoru, although bad, is a lot of fun to play, so we're going to put him at C tier. I'm going to put Jet at S tier, and I'm also going to put Reyna at S tier. And I'm also going to put Sova at S tier. I'm going to put Sova at S tier as well. Now is when it gets a little bit more complicated. I think I'm going to put Phoenix at B tier, because he's better than Yoru, but he's useful sometimes, but not that useful. Like, picking basically any of the other duelists other than Yoru is probably a better pick. Skye, A tier. Easy. Best flashes in the fucking game. Can heal her teammates. A duelist and an initiator in one can drone people out with their dog. She's easily A tier. But, like, there are a couple agents that I would, like Sova, I would pick over a Skye. Now, this one, unpopular opinion. I'm going to put KO at A tier. I think he is fantastic on the majority of maps, especially if you have knife lineups. I think he's severely underrated, needs to be picked more. Steel on 100 Thieves is starting to use him more, and I genuinely think that KO is massively underrated. I'm also going to put Sage on A tier because, like, you all... Actually, I'm going to put Sage on S tier. Now, it's really close between S and A tier, but I think S tier is the play for Sage. Because I feel like on the overwhelming majority of maps, I'd say, like, basically all of them, Sage is incredibly useful and almost a must-pick on some maps. Like Icebox, must-pick. But you're probably fine without her sometimes, but almost a must-pick, so I think S tier. I think S tier. Now, Viper. Viper, I'm going to put on B tier, because on maps like Breeze and Icebox, have to play her. You have to, but that's less than half the maps that she's like an absolute must pick, and she is very useful on other maps, but she's not like a... You're not gonna play Viper as much as a Skye or a KO, so I'm gonna put her on B. I think Viper should have about the same pick rate as Phoenix. I think maybe a little bit higher, but not enough to like differentiate between tiers. Now, Breach, I am going to put on... I'm going to put on B tier just because he's an initiator, right? And if you're going to pick an agent, right, that's an initiator with the flashes and to kind of get everybody onto site, you're going to pick a Sova or a Skye. It's not going to be that often that you pick a Breach, right? Because to pick a Breach, you're going to have to pick two initiators. Because the Sova and the Skye, or a KO even, you're going to want to pick one of those, so you're going to need at least two initiators if you're going to pick Breach. Now, he's incredibly useful at countering Killjoy. Mwah, fantastic. Now, after his buff, right? So I think Breach, B tier. He's a great pick. He's up above the C tier just because of his buff this patch, but I'm putting him on B tier. Killjoy, I'm also putting on B tier. She's still incredibly useful, great agent, one of the best in the game, but her counters are building up, right? You can counter her with Sova really well. You can counter her with any Molly in the game, especially KO. You can now counter her with Breach's Aftershock. There's so many counters to her ult, which is her main reason that she's like overpowered. So I'm gonna put her on B tier. She's getting down there because of all her counters. I'm gonna put Raze on A tier just because I think that she's a better pick for a duelist than Phoenix most of the time. I don't necessarily think that she deserves A tier. I don't think she's as good as KO and Skye, but I think she's better than Phoenix, and Phoenix is better than Yoru, but it's really close. I almost want to add like an A- for Raze, but I think she's okay at A. I don't think that's too controversial a decision. Now I'm gonna put Omen and Astra also on A, because you have to always pick one of them, right? The smokes. The smokes, man. The smokes. Brimstone's horrible, so you're never going to pick Brimstone for smoke, so you either have to have an Astra or Omen. And that's all going to depend on, like, the play style of the individual person, right? So I think they're even, because some people want to pick Astra. She's one of the best agents in the game, but she's incredibly expensive and therefore kind of difficult to frag with. If you're a little bit more aggressive, 100% Omen. I think Omen is better for the more aggressive smoke player, but I think they're both equally useful. Fantastic. And then Cipher. Cypher's difficult because he's really good on Bind and Haven, but he's good on Split. He's good on Split, but I'm trying to decide between here. I think Cipher is on B. I can't put Cipher above Killjoy. I really can't. I even think Killjoy might be a little bit better. I can't put Cipher above Killjoy. I think this is my final tier list. If the only change that I would possibly make would put Killjoy on A tier, but with all her counters, like, I don't know. I don't think I can't. I don't feel like I can. I think this is my tier list. I think I'm gonna stick with this. I think I agree with this. I think that Riot has done an incredible job balancing agents looking at this tier list. If you disagree with me, leave it in the comments. If you agree with me, then subscribe.